Oh, hey, girlfriends. Welcome to the Shameless Ambition podcast. My name is Lynsey, Dalen,
I'm Justine.
and we are here to share a conversation with you about what are we talking about?
Shameless ambition.
Shameless ambition. I am a sales specialist and empowerment coach based out of Alberta, Canada, and recently I hosted a 2-day business and empowerment conference for women called Shameless Ambition. And my best girlfriend here, Justine, was a huge part of this conference. Justine, how are you a part of the conference?
Yeah, so I'm so grateful. We actually just started in conversation about it together, sitting on our porches, talking about what all this conference was going to be for you. And I knew that I wanted to be a part of it in any capacity I could be, just to share the energy with you. So I joined in as a yoga instructor on the day 2, which blew my mind as a teacher. It was one of my best experiences I've ever had. And then my husband and I also own a business here in Grand Prairie, and we were the title sponsor for the event.
I was so grateful to have you guys on board as a sponsor because this was an empowerment conference for women, and we live in a community that is driven by oil and gas. And so to have a company of your caliber from your industry come on board and support this event was so incredibly powerful and humbling, to be honest.
Yeah, it was a no-brainer for us, honestly. I mean, that's what our business is centered around, is diversity. So it was a no-brainer in knowing you and my husband knowing you. It was, there was no questions about it when the opportunity came up. And you had some really awesome opportunities for us as a sponsor as well, because you knew that it had to work both ways. So it was the best segue into us working together and starting our world domination together, as we like to call it.
So this is officially our very first podcast recording, and it's just the two of us here just hanging out in my kitchen, crushing a mimosa as we do, dreaming big, thinking about all of the cool things that we want to do in the future. And when I think about some of the experiences that we've had together, it just literally fills up my heart and soul in such a way that I wish every single woman could experience. Like specifically the yoga class that you presented at Shameless Ambition to over 70 women in a room doing yoga together. And so
many different women. Like, I mean, some women who do yoga every week, women who've never done yoga before, ranging in 20-year-olds to 70-year-olds, maybe 70, 60, but there was a huge range in people, and everyone just had the same vibe together. Obviously, there were some special moments that were weaved in there specifically for you ladies, that I know you really appreciated those moments. But as a teacher, to sit there and feel everybody's energy. And like I've said to Lynn's, we've had a lot of conversations post Shameless Ambition conference. And the one thing that it's the highlight for me, I walk away from, is that I was there Friday morning with you, greeting people, welcoming them, and to see their shyness and I'm going to sit with my best friend because I'm too scared to go sit with another woman that I might not know. And then to come full circle to the iconic 90s portion on Saturday night to cutting up a dance floor. And
so good.
There was no barriers. There was no boundaries. It was just women having so much fun together. And to see that transformation just happen in a short 48 hours was absolutely amazing. So
it was such a cool vibe, wasn't it?
Such a good vibe.
It was, oh my God. And we have just been discussing all of the ways that we could keep that vibe going, continue the conversation, continue the energy of Shameless Ambition. And we had the opportunity to tour Northwestern Alberta in June. And
I mean, our 2 years of friendship has felt like 10.
It
honestly.
has.
We've done a lot in 2 years, but
it helps that our daughters are besties and we live super close to each other. And we now are at the stage in our friendship where we treat each other's homes like our own. And we do everything together. We're just besties. But you know what? The thing that I love about our friendship and the way we interact with each other and with other women is that everyone is welcome to sit with us. And always. Everyone is welcome to be a part of the conversation. And
we love new friends.
We love new friends. And
we do.
So, we started this conversation about a podcast months ago while we were on the road for the Northwestern Alberta Foundation tour. And we spent hours upon hours in Gigi, rocking out in the vehicle together and just talking about big dreams.
Big dreams. Yeah. And a lot, if you travel through Northwestern Alberta, you'll realize really quick you don't get cell phone reception.
That's right. Yeah.
Through lots of the drive. So we had lots of time to talk because there
Mhm.
was no music. So yeah,
Mhm.
we had lots of time to brainstorm and talk and just really, I mean, we already do talk on a daily about our dreams and our goals and our ambitions, but really to like dive in where we've seen our future going together, because it's really rare that you meet somebody that you can mesh so well with in friendship and work. And Lynsey and I have somehow figured it out really easily.
Nailed it.
So far.
Yeah.
That we just can ebb and flow in between our friendship and our work vibe really, really well. She's our community ambassador at the company my husband and I own. So we really honestly integrate so many pieces of our lives, but that those drives were so monumental for us, really just diving into like what we wanted to do together and really just being like, hey, do you want to do something together? I'm like, oh, I was thinking about that too. I just didn't want to be creepy.
Our girls ask us all the time.
Yeah.
They're like, Mom, do you have business meetings with Auntie Justine every day?
Every day.
Yeah, pretty much every day.
Yeah.
And so this podcast is an effort to continue our personal, professional endeavors to continue to create and stimulate conversation around what it means to be an ambitious woman and the feelings that we have around them. And, you know, I don't know about you, girlfriend, but I am shameless in my ambition. And so is this beautiful woman sitting right next to me. And I just couldn't be more grateful to be able to have these kinds of conversations with you every single day.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I try to approach every avenue of my life as shamelessly as I can, because why the hell not, really?
It's short.
Yeah. And I mean, if there's a Dr. Seuss quote, and I'm not going to do it because I don't have it wrote down and I'm probably going to mess it up, but it's along the lines of say how you feel and think how you think, because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind. The other way. Yeah, that was right.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, so I just go with that vibe of if you really don't like me or like the way I'm putting myself out there, it's not, you don't need to like me. That's okay. But just being authentically myself. And that's what I believe is such a huge part of shameless ambition, is being authentically yourself, because I don't think that you can be shamelessly ambitious if you're not being yourself. So
absolutely not. And I mean, if there's one big takeaway from life that I've personally had over the last couple years, it's to first and foremost always be authentically myself.
Yeah.
And secondly, to never be ashamed of my ambitions.
No.
Growing up in a small community, Justine's from an even smaller community than I'm from.
It's a hamlet.
It's a hamlet. To have the kinds of big dreams that we have are, you know, often misunderstood and maybe not necessarily, maybe we don't have access to the same opportunities or the same network that maybe we need to make these dreams come true. But what I found is that when you pursue your dreams shamelessly and unapologetically, that success will follow and that things will start happening.
And you draw people to you. Like when you
Totally.
start exuding that energy, you start to draw those people who are like in that same lane, in that same mindset to you. You're not, you know, you're really putting yourself out there to surround yourself with those people. So,
well, and when you find a community of women that's, you know, ambitious and driven and excited to create and collaborate above and beyond competition, it just, man, do women flourish when they just support and empower one another.
And if you really think, like, honestly think to yourself, how many times in a day, a week, a month, you think something really cool to yourself, but you're like, nah, people are going to think that's stupid.
You dismiss it.
Or just like someone, oh, I shouldn't say that. They might think I'm weird.
Right.
Or like it might be a out there idea or something weird. But when you surround yourself with women, like I have with you or other women do with their friends, and that big circle, you're not ashamed to say anything. And even if it's received with like, no, girlfriend, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
No, let's not do that. It's okay because you're in a safe space and you know that they're coming from a place of being genuine and not competition. They're not trying to shove you down because they're like, oh, that's a great idea. She's going to be better than me. It's not that. It's literally, I have your back, and that's probably not the best idea. Or that's wicked. How do we make that happen for you? So,
well, and I mean, I'm sure that we are not alone in having felt unsafe in the company of other women, having felt, you know, less than, having felt judged, or like we, you know, that imposter syndrome.
I think I can honestly say I have felt more uncomfortable in groups of women overall than in groups of men.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, women say, you know, a group of men can make you feel uncomfortable or like you're standing there naked. And I'm like, oh, I felt that more in groups of women
For sure.
than in groups of men. And women can be so jealous and catty and mean, and it's pointless. I mean, it reflects more on them, in my opinion, than on you, but it's hard in that moment to be like, oh, it's them, it's not me. You like walk away being like, oh, it's me.
Right.
So, yeah, I should go change my outfit and burn it and never wear this again and all the things. So, but I think that, I mean, for me, it was turning 30. A lot switched for me in my mindset, but it was also meeting you, meeting your group of friends. Cause let me tell you, she has a wicked group of friends that have welcomed me with open arms. So grateful for that. But to see how you guys connect, how you support each other. And I have that with my friends, but I don't have it in a big group. We have it in like singularity in friendships. It's just the two of us. So to see this big group of women and then to see Shameless, I was like, whoa, this is a vibe. Right? Yeah. And it was. So yeah.
Shameless Ambition is such a vibe. And, you know, I am so fortunate to have the rock solid crew of girlfriends that I have, because I have lived in the same community my entire life. And despite the fact that so many of them have moved away, we have worked at those friendships. We have shown up to support each other. We have done the hard, gritty, for lack of a better word, shitty work to make sure that we are there for each other, because we know that we're stronger when we have the support of one another. And
100%.
When Justine moved to our town just over 2 years ago, it was like the universe just placed her in my path so that we could just become best friends. Literally, and do everything together.
All of its work there.
Our daughters became best friends immediately. They hit it off instantly. And I invited Justine and her daughter to my daughter's, what birthday was that? Her sixth birthday. And it was like this angel just walked into this kids' party zone, which is basically my nightmare. And she just showed up like this ray of sunshine and took my breath away with your confidence.
It was actually really weird too, because if you're a mom and you know this, like when your kids hit that like 5-6 mark and you're like, oh, sweet, I can leave them at the birthday party. Bye. But that one I didn't. For some reason, I didn't just drop Ari off and leave. I was like, I'm gonna stay. Maybe I'll just stay. I'll just sit in this room. And it was best decision I've ever made.
Well, it was like 2 hours of conversation that was just so genuine, so authentic, so easy, so nonstop. And just the way we connected in that moment was palpable. It was, you could literally feel it. You could taste it. You could smell it. You could, everything about it was just like, you know, intense to the senses. And when you find women like that, I just hope that you never let go, because these are the type of women that I wish we all had in our lives. And these are the types of friendships that I wish we all had in our lives, because girlfriends, I am a better woman because of this beautiful woman sitting next to me.
Ditto.
I like me better when I'm with
me
you.
Too, right? We should get matching shirts.
We'll get matching shirts. Yeah, exactly.
Life's been so great. There's really no words with that.
And to be honest, we don't even know where this podcast is going to go. We just knew that we needed to create a platform and a space to continue the conversation about ambitious women, about the challenges that we face, about the, you know, misconceptions we might have, about the fact that we should be shameless in our ambitions.
I mean, honestly, you have to work at it every day. And I mean, Lynsey knows. I text her some days. I wake up, I'm like, I'm not shameless today.
No,
there's no, it's just not happening today. And that's okay. And Lynsey has a great rule. She's like, I'll let you sit in it for a day, but tomorrow,
one day,
you're back at her.
That's right.
But I think that it's a work in progress. We're never done growing as people. I think I read this quote a while back, and it was like, if we don't look back at our past selves and think, ick, are we actually growing? And it's true, right? Because we need to keep growing as people, and our growth never stops. And if you think you're done growing, then you probably have a lot of growing left to do.
That's right.
In my opinion. It's a work in progress every day. But I think that Lynsey and I, through discussing this podcast, really just want to be open about it. I'll be open about my bad days. I'll be open about my good days, and I'll be open about everything in between and the struggles, the triumphs that lead us to the points where we're at. And I think that's the only way that we can help other women and open up the conversations, is be like, it's me too. Yeah.
That's
right. And kind of standing together in solidarity.
Well, and I feel like often our social media channels reflect only the highlights of our life, which is fair. I am deliberate and intentional in
and that's A-okay.
Only posting positive energy, positive vibes, positive motivation. If you go to any of my social media channels, that's all you're going to get from me. You will never see the negative side of anything that I'm going through in life, because I believe in being able to give it context. And when I'm not able to have a full conversation about certain things, I don't want people to misinterpret what's happening. And
also the power of 24 hours.
Absolutely.
Like I think lots of times, I mean, I'm guilty of it for so many things, but lots of times we get into a mood, something happens in our day, we're frustrated, the kids, all the things. So the last thing I want to do is hop on my Instagram story and be like, and just like let out my bad mood, and then look at that before it goes away in the next 24 hours and be like, oh no, like I needed to think about that. Totally. Like I honestly, I was just in a moment. It wasn't something so significant that I needed to share it.
No.
But with that being said, I'm open to sharing my struggles if we talk about them on here, of course, because I know that's how we grow. But
this is the outlet, though. This is our chance to really speak our truth, to use our words, to share our stories in a way that
context.
It has context. It has tone. Totally. It has a meaning behind it. You've got time and space to explain. People are tuned in.
And if people don't want it, I mean, if we're talking about something dark or something struggle, like they can not listen. That is obviously a choice if that's not something they're wanting to feed into today. Whereas I know if you throw that up on your story, you're messing up your algorithms too of what you're going to see on your feed. So if you're like, oh, bad day, bad day, bad day, bad day, all of a sudden you're going to see bad day, bad day, bad day on your feeds, right? That's unfortunately how those sorts of things work. So, but yes, all the things are going to be talked about here, open and honestly. Lynsey and I have lots of different opinions, so that's exciting.
Yeah, we do.
But we're so good about them, so it's all good. But we do have lots of different opinions, and we're not afraid of them. We're not afraid in our friendship to talk about them. We're not afraid in our friendship to challenge each other.
That's right.
In our opinions or our views. Lynsey will challenge me in my grammar all the time, and that's okay. But no, it's honestly, this is just like two best girlfriends sitting together who realize we really love each other and we just want to talk. And we thought it would be great to put it on a podcast and we want to share our lives. And,
exactly. We want to share with all the girlfriends. We want to share the good, the bad, the ugly, the relatable, the totally unrelatable.
Unrelatable.
Yeah. Like the big things, the little things, the mom things, the career things, the wife things,
and how to do them all together.
Totally.
Because I mean, like, that's where I think it gets really sticky is like, it's one thing to be, it's hard to do them all, don't get me wrong, but then to put them all together and try to incorporate that balance, it's another thing. I mean, we're still working on it.
We are still working on it. And, right there is just one of the ways that we differ is you will almost never hear me use the word balance. You're a yogi. She's a yogi. She'll use it all the time.
Yeah.
Balance is not my jam because I just find that as soon as I feel it, I'll lose it. And it just seems like such an unachievable goal for me. So integration is where I shine in.
You can't integrate in yoga.
No, you can't integrate in yoga. Exactly. So you need your balance in yoga.
Yeah, no. I guess you could integrate.
Life is full, girlfriends. Yeah. Life is hard. And we just do not believe in tearing each other down. This podcast is solely to support you, to build you up. You will never hear us speak negatively about other women on here. You will never hear us call other women out.
Definitely not.
We don't do passive aggressive. We don't do negative undertones.
Sometimes.
Sometimes he deserves it.
Yeah, sometimes I really wanted the eggs.
That guy.
Oh yeah, but no, all the things it's gonna be so great. I'm really excited. And off of what Lynsey was just saying on balance and integration, on how we think differently, I also want to add in, like, not one recipe works for one person, right? We all have different lives. We all have different quirks. We all have different things that we need to function best in our lives. So not one recipe, not the recipe I give you for me or Lynsey's recipe for her is going to work for you. It has to be something that you incorporate yourself and take pieces of what you need. But maybe one piece of my recipe might help yours, or with Lynsey's, vice versa. So Yeah, we're excited to just share ours and hear yours and hear your questions and
all the cool conversations
Yeah.
are going down on the Shameless Ambition podcast. We have such a stacked list of guests that we cannot wait to invite on here. We are so fortunate to know and love and be loved by so many incredible women.
Yeah.
It is wild. We started building out the list of guest speakers and it just
keeps going.
It keeps going. Exactly. Yeah. Because we want to create space and a platform for other women to share. And we want to answer your questions. Yeah. Honestly, nothing is off limits on this podcast.
I mean, if there is a question that comes across that I'm like, I'm not answering that, I'll just be like, I'm not going to answer that. But really in this moment, as of right now, there's really nothing off limits to me.
We are moving forward with Shameless Ambition. Yeah. And we are just so grateful and thankful to have this space to just talk about all the things, to have these conversations, because they do matter. And oftentimes I feel like ambitious women are torn down for being too ambitious. They're too this, they're too that. They're not enough this, they're not enough that. And as Rachel Hollis said, ambition is not a dirty word, girlfriends. And I encourage you to wholeheartedly own that, because your ambitions are what makes your dreams come true. It's what designs your life and helps you live your most creative, inspired, fulfilled life.
I think that we're living in such a tough world as for being ambitious women. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So, if you work and your kids go to daycare, you don't spend enough time with your kids. But if you're a stay-at-home mom with your kids all day, you don't work. Or it's just, it's all these things. No matter what we do, there's always like someone there to be like, no, you're doing it wrong. You're not doing enough here. You need to do this better. And I mean, constructive criticism is great. Don't get me wrong. But you just have to literally lean into what feels best for you, and the rest will fall into place. So if that means with your kids, if you're feeling too guilty to follow your ambitions, your kids will be so proud to see you follow your ambitions.
Absolutely.
Fun fact, I'll share this. Lynsey doesn't know I'm going to share this. So when we, the day before Shameless, we're getting together, we're talking, and she goes, Justine, this is how cool my kids think I am. They think I'm cooler than the Prime Minister of Canada.
Oh my God, it was so hilarious. I'm like, do you guys even know who the Prime Minister is?
Yeah, right. So anyway, but it is. Your kids look up to you. No matter if you're following your dreams, they're going to look up to you and they're going to think you're a superwoman. They're going to think you're a rock star and they're going to see that. So, we want to talk about getting rid of the guilt and just, all the struggles, but all the great things about being a shameless, ambitious woman.
Absolutely.
So,
well, and we each have 2 daughters. Mm-hmm. So we really are very conscious of the example that we're setting for them. And we want them to grow up knowing that they can be and do anything they want to be, but they got to work for it. They got to get the reps in. They got to get down to business, do the gritty work, clean the toilets if they have to.
Lemonade stand.
Start the lemonade stand. Exactly. And it really is the future for women that is so inspiring for us, and that we are trying to help impact, and that we're trying to change the narrative for, because I feel like so many women out there have such big dreams and big ambitions, but they don't feel like,
or they think they're too big.
Or they're too big. Yeah. Exactly.
No such thing.
Yeah.
No such thing. Is it too? No.
Oh,
I don't believe it. That's what they believe though. They're like, oh no, it's unachievable. It's too big for me, or it's unrealistic. And I'm like, who's to say?
Exactly.
Sure, there's hurdles on everything. There's on every goal. I mean, I won't speak to the shameless. That's for you to speak to on the conference, but I can even just speak to onsite, like building a business in 8 years. I mean, there was countless times where I was like, oh, we might not make it, but we did. And it's that perseverance of pushing through, and it's having that in your core that this is your purpose, that this is where you're supposed to be and it's supposed to work out. And it sounds cheesy, but if you really, really do believe that it will work out, 9 times out of 10, it usually does work out if you put the work behind it, right? So you can't just sit and manifest. You do have to put the work behind it, but yeah.
And be willing to let go of the limiting beliefs that have been holding you back, to acknowledge them, to do that work, to actually say, where am I not showing up in the right ways for myself and the dreams that I have for myself? Growing up in the community that I grew up in, I, for 35 years, had an impression of who I needed to be, what type of woman I needed to be successful and accepted, and
how you had to show up.
How I had to show up. Exactly. And like I said, in the last couple of years, I've let go of all of these ideals that I had held on to for years and years and years. And when I let all of that just blow up, I've never been happier. I have never felt more like myself, more confident, more capable, more inspired than I do right now in this very moment. And I actually feel like this almost every single day.
Yeah. And I mean, like, we've had lots of conversations around like what shameless ambition means to me and to Lynsey and to other people. And I think it's actually like an evolving definition for me.
Totally.
I don't really think I ever answer the question the same. Like I don't have like a copy paste to that answer. But I think that one of the core things at for having shameless ambition is vulnerability. Mm-hmm. So it's super uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie. Before Lynsey and I sat on this podcast, when we pressed play, I was like, ugh. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to put ourselves out there. It's uncomfortable to be like, are we going to be liked or disliked? But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because we're so stoked sitting here doing this, and it fills our cup just by doing this. So win. Win. Yeah. And if one person listens, double
cool.
win.
Exactly.
Like, right? And it might be me later.
Well, and here's the shameless side of this is that, yes, it can feel weird. Yes, it can feel uncomfortable. But you know what? We're going to push post anyways.
We are.
We're going to push post because we know that we're brand new to podcasting. This is our very first episode. We still have a lot to learn, but we are not going to sit back and put our dreams on hold while we wait to be fully ready, because you'll never be fully ready.
Well, and I was just going to add, no one's good at something. Oh, well, just some basketball players are like probably naturally great, or a sport or something, I guess. But when you're learning something or you're putting yourself out there, you're never going to be great the first time you do it. Like, that's unattainable. Mm-hmm. You have to learn. It's like anything, right? So if you don't learn, you don't put the work in, nothing's going to happen from it. So you have to start somewhere, and it's okay to mess up and to learn along the way and to grow. That's the whole point. So.
Exactly. And to just strip it down to the bare naked truth of what you want, where you want to go, and then just be willing to add the layers until you get there, and to just learn as you go and to grow through what you go through. And I just want to share this message with so many women out there that you're not alone. Your dreams are not too big. There is no time like the present. Life is short, girlfriends, and we just don't have time to waste.
No, and stop like waiting for tomorrow.
Exactly.
That's lame. It is like it. And it's so cliche to say tomorrow's never promised, but it's not. So stop waiting for tomorrow. Just stop, because you never know when it's your last tomorrow.
That's right.
So literally just do it today.
Exactly.
And what's the worst that can happen? Honestly.
Nothing. Like, honestly, exactly.
As long as you are representing yourself in the most authentic way, you're not being cruel, harsh, or discriminatory in any way, which we never should be. No. So as long as you're not doing any of those three things, you're staying true to yourself, nothing can go wrong. Absolutely. And you have good people in your corner that are like, seeing your video, good job, and they just have your back. So all good.
My friend Angela, our friend Angela.
Well, she's like an idol for me. I watched her speak at Shameless, and I was like a puddle crying, and I was like, my inner child wants to talk to you.
Angela is my mastermind buddy, and she has a podcast called the Radical Flow Podcast, which I highly recommend you check out.
It's great.
But she talks about her measure of success being a question that she asks herself every single night before she goes to bed. Am I proud of myself in the day that I just had? And I think that is such a great way to just validate and acknowledge how you spend your time. Are you proud of it? Were you proud of what you did that day? And sometimes you might be in mom mode all day and get nothing done
but
that furthers
proud of
your professional success.
Mom.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's
that day. Be like,
huge success.
Mom win.
Absolutely. And honestly, this podcast, our whole vibe and energy is about celebrating the wins, big or small, celebrating with you. We will always celebrate with you. Girlfriend, if you're having a win, like, cheers to you. Cheers, girlfriends.
Cheers to winning.
Cheers to winning.
And failing forward. It's like, fail forward. Don't ever be scared of failing. Yeah. Because that's how we grow. That's how you learn your lesson. And it's only a failure if you don't take anything from it, honestly. If you're just like, oh, I failed, done, then that's a failure. But if we can fail forward, so every time we make a mistake or we stumble or we learn something about the podcast or whatever it is, as long as we're moving forward or you're moving forward in your ambitions, it's not failing. So
no, it's not. And over the coming months, as we have the opportunity to continue the conversation, I mean, I honestly actually can't wait to share some of my biggest failures with you and some of my most embarrassing moments, some of the times when I was humbled to my knees, girlfriends. We all have these moments, and this is part of the social media conversation I was having about how we don't necessarily always share them.
Yeah.
And it is because I don't share those moments in real time, because mentally I know that I need the space and privacy to deal with them. And when I do talk about them, I want to be able to give it the context and the time and attention that conversation deserves.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that anytime we go through something big or small, we have to unpack it ourselves, because we have so much, right? So it's not just the situation that's affecting you. It's something that happened 10 years ago that relates to this situation that's affecting you a little more. And it's just, it gets mucky, right? It's never just the situation that you're really talking about in the moment, because there's so many feelings to it. It's not until you sit down with yourself, whether it's journaling or listening to music or meditating or going for a run, whatever it is, where you can sit with yourself and really be with yourself to digest. You know, was that maybe more of an internal feeling that I was having of self-doubt or whatever that is? And that's okay. How do I work on it? Or was it actually the situation? Was I perceiving that correctly? Because I think a lot of the time, I can speak for myself here, but a lot of the time in the moment, I get a little emotional. And I'm just going to say I am a very emotional person. So if something comes across my day and I feel irritated or stressed or a little angry with it, I tend to react a little more with my emotions than with my logical mind. Obviously, I'm a work in progress. So I take time to sit back and think about that before I react emotionally and be like, okay, Justine, that's your stuff. This might be a little bit of an issue, but the rest is all you, girl. You gotta work on that later. So I think that's a big part of it too, is just sitting with it. And
absolutely. And, you know, I wouldn't say I'm nearly as emotional as Justine is.
I don't think like many people are, so it's okay. I've learned to wear it as a badge now. So.
You know what, though? Like, I am a sucker for very few people, and I am such a sucker for you. Like, I am such a tit for this woman. It is wild.
I'm her penny.
She's my penny. But I tend to react logically, and I am a quick decision maker. I think fast and methodically in the moment, and I sometimes don't necessarily give a situation the time that it needs.
To percolate.
Exactly. And this is something I've worked on for years, but it's just a reflex for me to go into problem solving mode. And I think that that's one of the most special parts about the kind of conversations that we have, is that we do have this kind of beautiful integration between the two of us. We are not even remotely the same person, and yet so much the same person in so many ways.
We give each other a lot of grace. Let me tell you that. And we've been friends for 2.5 years, and we haven't had a fight in real life. We had one in my dream the other night, but we haven't had one in real life. And I don't think we ever will, honestly. I mean, we're going to argue. I'm sure we have had little arguments, but the way her and I have just like went into this friendship with so much grace from the beginning of like, this is you, this is me, and understanding of who we are as a person. So to speak to Lynsey in her powerhouse, like, I'm going to just brunch on the situation. So the shameless, she goes the morning of the conference, the Friday morning, she goes, Justine, I know you're going to read into my face today a little bit. So I'm not mad at you. I'm just in work mode. And if I tell you to do something directly, I'm not mad at you. I just need it to be done. And I was like, okay, thank you so much. But there honestly was probably 10 times throughout that weekend. She would look at me and I'm like, is she mad at me? And I was like, no. She had the conversation. But Lynsey knows how I receive love and how I perceive people's energy. And it's not a good quality, but how I take it on myself and think that I'm causing their energy, which I'm not that special. I'm not really causing their energy, but she knows that about me. She knows that that's just how I operate in my brain. So she is such a great friend. She is such a supportive woman that she knows that we were working together, and she knew that was going to be something that came up, and she just nipped it in the butt right away. So yeah.
But I think that that's a courtesy and a grace and a respect that women who feel truly connected, who truly support each other, who truly understand each other, just naturally give to each other. So on the flip side of that, Justine had a dream that we had a fight, and
so bad.
she texted me immediately in the morning. She was so upset. And, you know, to be honest, anybody else, I would have literally just rolled my eyeballs straight into the back of my head. But I immediately texted her back with nothing but love and reassurance and kindness, and sent her a true love hug over text, because that is her love language.
Yeah,
and
it is big time.
I think that we can learn to understand and respect each other for who we are and love each other for our differences. You know, I think that every strength of Justine's is a gift in my life. And I think that I just respect her wholeheartedly as a woman, as a wife, as a mom, and to have women like her in my community is a gift that we just got to share. Like, we have to share this.
And I mean, like, I'll only share her a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. But no, Lynsey needs to be shared. Honestly, her energy, just all of her. So I met her, like we said, 2.5 years ago. And when I had first moved up here, we just moved our business. I wasn't really looking to teach yoga. I was just kind of with the family and diving into that, which was great. And then I got pregnant and yada, yada, yada. However, Lynsey never let me be stagnant. And that's something I didn't actually realize until I was postpartum with Aspen. That she never let me stop growing, no matter what I was going through. So it just goes to speak to Lynsey's character of when she's in your corner, she's never going to stop pushing. So I'm so good to lay on my couch every day and watch The Challenge.
Oh my God. I was waiting for when we were going to bring up The Challenge. Yes.
There's our little plug.
More on that later.
Yeah, definitely. There'll be a whole episode on TJ11.
Absolutely.
But anyway, I'm so good for that. And she is the one who doesn't let me, even though I want to sometimes. She's the one who is like, hey, girlfriend, what are our dreams and goals today? And I'm like, oh, I wasn't thinking about that. So she shows up for me every day in the best ways. She's shown up for me sad, happy, angry. There was one day she just showed up at my door. I knew I was having a bad day. I was like hair up on a mess, and I was a disaster, and I was folding laundry on my couch. And I hear a knock at my door, and I'm like, weird, who could be here? And I opened it. It was her, and I fell into a puddle, emotional me, just crying into her arms. I had no idea, but she just knew in her heart that she needed to be with me for whatever reason. So I know that that's not the only story from women who have Lynsey in their life of just she shows up. And I know that's her love language. She likes it when people show up for her and do things for her, acts of service and those sorts of things. So that's how she obviously shows it more naturally. But this woman does show up time and time again.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah.
Honestly, it just like growing up in the same city my entire life, I have a ton of wonderful friends, and I really honestly thought I didn't need any more. I really actually did. I was like, okay, I'm tapped out. I got tons of friends. Yeah. But you were somebody that the connection was so strong immediately that girlfriends, you make room for those kind of connections in your life, because the growth that comes from it, the joy that comes from it is incredible.
And you should never be closed off to like meeting new people or new friends. And sometimes when you look
lesson learned.
But sometimes when you look at a table in a room, you're like, I don't want to go sit over there, but you never know. A really good friend or a really good connection might be sitting at that table. Mm-hmm. So to never box yourself off and be like, I've had enough business conversations, or I've had enough connecting today. Mm-hmm. Just, put yourself out there a little bit more and never say you have had enough, because you just never know who's around the corner.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I just think that you said to me right after we first met that people come into your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. And I had never heard that before, but it is so true. And Justine came into my life at a time where I was going through a very large life change where, I was learning about some people that had been in my life for a season, some that were there for a reason. And then I met this person who showed me that without a doubt, she was here for a lifetime. And I mean, man, that feeling is just incredible. And to have another woman that you can sit with so authentically and genuinely. One of the things I respect so much about our friendship is our ability to sit in silence.
Mm-hmm.
We can sit in silence very comfortably, and it just feels safe and supported. And we know that in that moment, there's nothing other than us just being there together.
You just said something and I was like, oh, it's like we're married.
I know, right?
But it got me thinking though. And I'm like, that's the feeling. So if you're lucky enough to be married and have that relationship with your spouse with that unconditional love, and if you know what I'm talking about, you know it, it's a feeling of just this insane amount of security and safe, just a big safe pot for you to dive in whenever you need to. That's this. Yeah.
Well, that's you.
No, it is though, but it is. It's like, yeah. So it's the best. I mean, I love having that in my marriage, obviously, but it's something different to have it with a girlfriend. And it's a different kind of safe that only she understands and only I'll understand back. For sure.
Well,
between each other. Sorry.
110%. And it's just, I think as women, we have this ability to default in certain situations where we feel uncomfortable to gossip.
It's like, because we don't like the silence, right? We're sitting there in silence and we're like, so do you hear about so-and-so?
Yeah.
Because it's just like, no one wants to sit in the silence, or you want to be the cool person in a new group of friends of being like, oh, I heard something.
Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, I have to say I have been guilty of gossip in my life. I think we all have. I've just gotten highly, highly sensitive to it over the last couple of years. I've been the subject of gossip. I have gossiped, but I am on a mission in my life to absolutely remove the concept and conversation of gossip. And that's one of my favorite parts about getting this brand new friend that's not even from this community, because we don't know any of the same people.
We kind of now are getting to know some of the same people, but still not really.
Not really. No. And that's so exciting. It's so exciting. And I feel like every time Justine and I go out, I get this wild opportunity to introduce her to so many cool new people. And, you know, I've had the opportunity to meet some of her incredible
She has
friends.
no idea what's in store for her when I bring her to Dalen.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for Dalen. Can we go cow tipping? Is that still a thing?
Sure.
Do people cow tip?
I mean, I had like 6,000 cattle and I never tipped one.
No, fair enough. I think it, you know, it would just became famous in Tommy Boy, and I don't know if it was ever really a thing.
I don't know. Yeah. We used to like ride alpacas.
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We did like farm kids. We get up to like some really fun things for sure.
I can get down with farm kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's been great. Grand Prairie, I was not stoked to move here, honestly. It wasn't that I was not Grand Prairie that I wasn't excited about. I was just sad to leave my home, my family. And literally, I put Aria into the last 2 weeks of kindergarten just so she knew the school before, because we moved right before summer. And I wanted her to know the kids in the school before she had started grade 1. So she just went into those last 2 weeks. And I didn't really hear about her days. Like, I mean, I asked how they were and she was fine. And one day we were at lunch in the mall at Moxie's, and these 2 little beautiful fiery girls come running up and they're like, Aria. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, how does she have friends already? And I don't. Like, this is lame. And it was Lynsey's daughters. And they ended up, we didn't get to meet that day, but then Lynsey had reached out, I think, about the birthday, and you guys heard the rest of that story. But I say to her all the time, honestly, of meeting her and having her and her beautiful family come into my life was the only reason I was meant to move here, then it was 100% worth it. So all good.
I mean, so many blessings in disguise and so many incredible things that we want to share with our listeners on this podcast. And it really is just truly an invite to sit with us, an invite to join the conversation, an invite to take a step forward to becoming the woman that you want to become, because man, are we cheering for you. Like, we are cheering for all the women out there.
Just walk into that room, have the conversation, shake the hand, take the first step or the 10th step or whatever step you're on, but take the next step. Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it.
Just do it. Like Nike says.
Yeah. They got a plug. Dang.
We'll send you the bill, Nike.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we'll send you the bill.
That wasn't for free.
Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, I think that we kind of got down to the nitty-gritty of what we want to do here, what this podcast is about, what women can expect from us.
We're going to talk about something different every week-ish, but it'll always be centered around, it'll always come back to shameless ambition.
Absolutely.
In some way. But we do want to hear from you. If you have something you want us to talk about, or if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us in any capacity and let us know. I think we have planned to like maybe set aside a future podcast just for viewer
Ask us anything.
questions.
That's right.
So have the conversation with us. That's why we're here. And we appreciate you listening and tuning in. And if you stayed this long, thank you.
We appreciate you very, very much.
Yeah, we do.
Thanks for hanging with us.
Yeah.
We'll come up with some cute little tagline and sign off as we go. But here's us just starting before we're ready, starting messy and just taking that next step.
We just took the step.
Literally.
We are in like construction of our whole podcast studio, which will take you along the journey because it's going to be man cave transformation. So we're going to be doing that. We have so much work to do. It's not that we're ready and we're rolling. I mean, but we started. And that's what, we've both been talking to this whole podcast is just start.
Justine, are we afraid of hard work?
No.
Heck no.
No. Quitting is for losers. That's what TJ would say.
TJ hates quitters.
There we go. Thank you. TJ
hates quitters.
So yeah, we don't quit.
Our future tattoo down the road.
But then I was like, what if we did it? And then we ended up ever being on that show and I did quit. Like a thing, I couldn't do it.
I've thought about it so many times. Like if you had that tattooed on your body, you just wouldn't quit. There's no way, which is why we have to get that tattoo. So when we go on the challenge and get to actually compete, we can't quit. Like you got to get knocked out, girlfriend.
All right. So to be determined, we have tattoos coming.
Stay tuned for that too.
Maybe we'll podcast that one at the tattoo parlor.
Oh my God. It would be an hour of
me swearing.
Justine swearing, me laughing at her until it's my turn, and then probably just me crying a little bit.
Or silence.
You
would just go.
I would just tough it out.
She would just
chomp on a piece of wood. Okay. Well, we could invite you to hang with us all day, but we're going to try and keep these podcasts to an hour or under. And we just sincerely appreciate you joining us, joining the conversation. We are totally always on your side, girlfriend, cheering you on, backing you up, supporting your ambitions. And we just can't wait to continue the conversation.
Yeah. I'm so stoked to be here. Like Lynn said, we've been talking about this for months. So, first step, here we are. And I'm so stoked about it. It feels so good. And like I said, I felt a little shaky, a little vulnerable, a little nervous starting this. But right now we're about to sign off in a few minutes and I have goosebumps and I'm probably going to do some jumps for joy as soon as we're done because it feels so good. We took the step. We were shameless in it and we were ambitious in it. So shameless ambition.
Yay, us. So probably it's time for another mimosa on the deck, hey?
Yeah. Mine's done. So
okay.
That's how you know. It's like our hourglass.
That's right.
When the podcast is done, the mimosa is empty.
Episodes drop Friday, girlfriends. Yeah. Stay tuned. We are literally just getting started.
We are.
Have the best day.
Bye.